Welcome to the Human Factor podcast, where science meets the human experience. Today, we're joined with Henrik Andersen, the CCO at Cercare Medical. With over a decade of success in AI-driven imaging solutions, Cercare is making waves in both Europe and the US. Today, we're diving into how they're transforming patient care and scaling their business for the future. So without further ado, let's get started. How you been?
I've been good.
Good. I know you mentioned just come back from California.
Yes, I joined the International Stroke Conference in LA last week.
Right. How did that go?
No, it went very well. We had some very exciting meeting with some very prominent and important US doctors.
Good. That's good to hear. I'm assuming you're probably still jet lagged since it's only been a couple of days since you came back. Or
Yeah,
right
I think today is pretty good. Sunday was awful, but that's the way it is. When you have a time difference of 9 hours, I mean, that's pretty brutal.
Yeah. Again, thank you for coming on to the show. I guess just to get things started, can you just give us a brief overview of Cercare for the audience that have not come across the business, and I guess what you guys specialize in and so on?
Yeah, Cercare has been around for the last 12 years. We specialize in something I didn't know anything about before I joined Cercare, which is perfusion. And what is perfusion? It's about measuring the oxygenation in the blood to determine people with a stroke. What is the core, which is the tissue that cannot be rescued, and what is the penumbra, which is the salvable tissue left for a quick intervention to restore the blood flow in the brain.
Right.
We also use our perfusion software for determining cancer in the brain. Is it a real progression or is it a pseudo progression, which is a common difficult questions that the physician have when they look at their tumor patients. Okay. We are also moving into more like specialized area like dementia and Alzheimer, which is a really large market.
I see. Okay.
The interesting thing with Cercare is that perfusion has been around since the 90s. Where a Danish professor, Leif Østergaard, invented perfusion, working in Harvard. And our CEO, Kim Moritzen, is actually the student of Leif Østergaard.
Oh wow!
Which comes to the office, frequently. But he was not. He was not like a businessman, so he opened the platform to be used by everyone. So everyone has, perfusion 1.0, GE, Philips, Siemens, Canon, everyone. But it's based on the technology from the 90s, where Cercare has kind of taken perfusion to the next level with better quality maps, but also a range of new, unique Cercare maps, which is called the advanced biomarkers. So we are in the market, with the Me Too product, but at the same time with a very different product.
Right. Okay. Fantastic. And I guess what led you to join the organization as the CCO? Because I know you said you wasn't aware or you've not worked in this part of the industry before. So what was kind of your reasoning on joining the organization?
Yeah, when you move jobs, I think it's a lot about timing. I think it's very difficult to plan and say, I mean, I want to join this company. Yeah. Maybe they don't want to join you. So there has to be like this match, where the company is looking for a person and also that the person is open for work.
That's for sure.
And this was a very classic recruitment. I was contacted by a headhunter and were enrolled in the process. And eventually we found out, that this could potentially be a good match. What attracted me with the company was that they were kind of in a space in their journey where I felt, that what they needed, would be something that I potentially could offer, because I had the journey in the past. And there was a lot of similarities, where's the company with the product, where they're in the market.
Yeah.
How do they launch the whole commercial program, which is something I feel I've done before with success and could potentially replicate it here at Cercare.
Good. And I know obviously Cercare recently got FDA approval clearance in December. Walk us through what the process was like for that and how that's going to impact the US entry for the business.
Yeah, we had already MR FDA cleared.
Yeah.
But standard of care for stroke is CT.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you know, these FDA approvals, they are very lengthy. They're very difficult. So it took almost a year, you know, with back and forth with FDA at the end. But you know, we had planned and hoped for, you know, the clearance just before RSNA in December, and it came right after. But that's of course gonna change the game for us. You know, we can really now play in the market, you know, where it matters the most, and that's CT perfusion for stroke management.
Right. Okay. And you just recently opened up an office in Boston, is that right?
Yeah, we opened an office in Boston last year, and we also employed 2 people in the US last year, because we still have a quite an attractive market with our MR solution, which is mainly targeted, you know, for the oncology market. But of course, having CT for stroke, which is an established market, is of course, I would say, kind of a game changer for us. And we also have, you know, budget to staff up this year, and we are planning to add more headcounts in the US this year.
That's good to hear. Good to hear. And you've obviously established some partnerships already. Can you talk a bit more about those partnerships that you have, and I guess how they're going to impact the overall growth of the business?
Yeah. I mean, we have kind of identified 3 different revenue streams. You know, we have our direct sales channel.
Yeah.
Number 1, we have our classic distribution channel. Number 2, which is mainly markets outside the direct markets. And then we have what we call the partner channel, number 3, which is the one you're asking for. We are contracted with some really exciting companies. We are contracted with Siemens.
Yeah.
And our product can be found on their open apps platform, which is called Syncovia, and you can actually take a free download for a 3-month trial. We are also contracted with more like classic, we can call them AI platforms. You know, we're contracted with ADOC, with Viz AI, with Blackford, with Recon, and also with the Swedish PACS company called Sectra. But they also have an open platform with companies like Cercare, called Amplifier, where we can also be found and can be downloaded. And what do these companies mean for us? I mean, basically, in my experience, I mean, they're not going to sell Cercare, even though that's kind of what you sign for. At least not now, because, you know, we are known in the market, and there's probably more exciting products on that platform that are easier to sell. But what can mean a lot for us is that one of the barriers with software is actually the IT integration. And in the US, an IT integration can easily take 2 years. It sounds horrendous, but it can take 2 years.
That's a long time.
But by, let's say, having these companies in the pocket, I mean, once we make a deal, you know, we can actually install on that platform. And that means we can bypass the whole IT show, and then just immediately get on the platform with a signed addendum to their contract with the hospital.
I see. And you mentioned in previous conversations that you've seen kind of triple-digit growth over the last several years. I know you just touched upon the kind of the different revenue streams that you guys are tackling. I mean, overall, what would you say the key drivers have been behind the success of being able to grow the company in such rapid growth?
No, it's definitely been our direct markets.
Right.
Because the main challenge for Cercare is not the product, is that the product is unknown to most physicians and also other players in the market. You know, so it's been the hard way by, you know, finding the people that are enthusiastic about perfusion, that are maybe already using perfusion and are excited about it, but maybe not that happy with, you know, how difficult it is to use, and then seeing, you know, what Cercare can do for them in terms of, you know, better quality maps. But also the new advanced maps have had, you know, considerable excitement among our customers. And then not to forget the automation. There's a huge workload in radio in the clinics today. Where we operate, there's lack of staff. So coming in with a product that is fully automated is a great help for them. Okay,
fantastic. And I guess I know you just mentioned the direct market has been the biggest success in terms of driving the organization and growing it. How is that going to compare to the US market? Are you guys adapting your strategy to go direct in the US, or is it going to be a matter of replicating what you've done successfully in Europe and then creating that same system in the US?
Yeah, I think it would be tempting to replicate the model we have in Europe, and coming back from the US and having had talks with American customers gives me the feeling that this is something that can fly. Spoke to a number of people that are very interested in perfusion, and also interested in the advanced maps that is Cercare unique, and that was kind of the same picture we saw in Europe 3 years ago. So we simply have to do the same, capture the early adopters, get installed, maybe using a laptop, to bypass IT in the beginning.
Yeah.
Then when the excitement is there and, they have more, you can say, clinicians behind them, then we can, hopefully get in clinical use and then being fully integrated into their system.
And what do you think the challenges would be with the US market, if there were going to be any? What can you anticipate?
I think the excitement from the doctors are the same, but as these hospitals often are organized into like large hospital chains like Kaiser, Ascension, the bigger they are, the more difficult it is to get through their paperwork, for purchase, but also for IT integration. But for the IT integration, I'm really hopeful, that our partner platform can shortcut this process. I actually forgot to mention Microsoft Nuance, which is also one of the partners, and they're kind of exposed to like 80% of the American hospitals. So we definitely have the IT kind of infrastructure in place through the partners, but now it's just about capturing the first customers.
And as you scale further in Europe, as well as obviously US, what are the strategies to keep the European business ticking over? Is it just going to be to keep momentum up, or are you going to implement strategies for Europe, or what does that look like?
No, we constantly look at how we can optimize the sales process, and sometimes you have to think out of the box. To give an example, I mean, you find a customer, they're excited, but they have no money for you, and because they didn't know about it, so you're not in the budget process. Then we can potentially say, all right, you are interested in a 3-year contract. I mean, then let's make the first year, attractive in terms of pricing, so you can actually, get the purchase through, and then let's agree on more premium pricing for year 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Just to make it, easy for the customer to come on the Cercare platform. Just to give an example of, all right, we cannot use our standard, 3-5 year contract, which is like normal in the business that they sign off for multiple years. But then let's find a lightweight year 1 and then get in.
How do you ensure in the process that you keep customer care and value building remain a priority for you guys as a business?
No, what we have done really well is that, I mean, I would say, the installation of the software is easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a half a day process, but the real adoption to their workflow and to achieve full automation. And don't forget we're talking about thousands of scans that needs to be automatically processed in the system and delivered back to them automatically on a workstation in the right sequence, with the right maps they want to see in the right priority. Mm-hmm. It's the job that require work from our application team, and they've done a good job, and we have received some really strong acknowledgements from our customers, really seeing that kind of Cercare never gives up. I mean, they fight to the bitter end, and we always achieved what they wanted eventually. And now it's more like, defining that program and understanding in a better way, how we can actually faster come in and adopt to local workflows.
Yeah. Okay. And for all the healthcare providers that might see this episode, I'm assuming one of the questions they will have in their head is what kind of ROI could they expect with using your technology within their organization? And I guess how does that influence adaptation as well?
No, that's a really good question. It's super important in the US. I mean, in Europe, in public hospitals, they kind of more focus on the care, how they can optimize the care for the patient. But in the US, you really need an RI model. And here the automation piece comes really handy into the game. And we already had, large institutions saying, oh, wow, with your automated oncology platform, we can actually save 20 headcounts.
Right.
To take it to the extreme,
yeah,
we also had European customers saying, okay, we can save 15 minutes per patient. And then they have done the internal calculation, say, okay, how many patients do we have a year, and then they made their own ROI and could justify the purchase.
Okay. And I guess kind of looking ahead, with all the growth plans that you guys have, from an innovation perspective, what does that look like for you as a business? Is there anything in the pipeline? I know, like you said, you've just got FDA clearance for the CT. What does that entail for you in the business?
Yeah, we have a pretty large roadmap. We can, of course, optimize further in the market where we stand now with new features that is actually attractive for the customers and can strengthen the platform. But we're also talking about, moving outside the brain to some more like, larger areas like, breast, prostate, spine. We talked to a spine customer during our RSNA, and, when you have, for example, let's say you're a big institution and you're doing 20,000 MR scans a year. When you move into spine, it's 4 million. There's a completely different volume in areas outside the brain.
Okay, fantastic. So it's not just that you're expanding in the areas that you've been in, the stroke area, the oncology area. You're actually going to look to broaden and use the technologies across various therapeutic areas.
Yes, correct.
Okay, that's exciting. And I guess if we were to check back in a year, what milestones do you hope Cercare have achieved, and you as well as a CCO within the organization?
And we definitely want to continue the growth in the 3-digit growth space.
Yeah,
I think it's all set for 2025. We have the budget, we have the plan, we have the pipeline. Now it's about execution, and that will bring Cercare into a new space. Because we will pass certain metrics for a company like Cercare to come into a space where we would be on the radar for new investors, bigger companies. So that has to happen. That we deliver another year with 3-digit growth. I think also taking the US to the next level to establish the first key opinion leaders, to establish the first centers of excellence would be also things I would want to happen this year. And a thing we are doing that I see is creating great value in the selling process and outside the selling process is that we have created a perfusion summit program where people that have interest in this very specialized diagnostic program as perfusion is, can come to a full day meeting where we have gathered, the most prominent people from Europe to present their learnings about Cercare in both stroke but also oncology use. And we had that first meeting last year in Copenhagen, and it was a great success.
Yeah.
And this year we are hosting the meeting in Munich, and we see a great interest, and we will, have double as many participants this year. But we have also extended the summit with a workshop on the first days for those that want to come in and have additional learnings about reading these advanced maps, that sometimes require specialized skills.
Yeah.
That said, we want to take that concept to the US, but it doesn't make sense to do it before actually the product is in clinical use and you have people that can stand up and speak not just about research, but how does Cercare deliver clinical value for them and the patients.
Right, gotcha. And when is the event in Munich? Just for the listeners that might be in the local area.
Yeah, it's on the 3rd and 4th of April.
We've talked a lot about growth, expanding into new markets, and innovation. Obviously, as part of all that, talent is going to be super important. I know that's something that you put a lot of emphasis on building the right team in order to support the growth that you want. And I think it's a testament for the growth that you've already experienced over the last several years. So I guess, and I think we'll probably both would agree on attracting and retaining top talent is crucial. What would you say are the biggest challenges in hiring the right individuals, and what is it that you look for specifically when building teams?
Yeah, I think the question you raise here is probably the key component for any company to have success. I mean, it starts with a person like myself, that you need to find a good commercial leader. That leader can then, activate his network. There have been, past colleagues that, that wanted to continue the journey with me. I have had people on my team that worked with me in 4 different companies over the last 14 years. It's very difficult, and it was very difficult when I joined Cercare, because, who is Cercare? We are unknown, we don't have an established footprint in the market. I mean, you need to find people that get excited by, building their business in the business that start greenfield. To give you an example, we had a person coming from one of the really big players in the industry, but he felt kind of, you can say, unmotivated, because you are a very, very small wheel in a big machine, and he was like keen on coming over where he could kind of flourish, with his experience, ideas, creativity, and I must say that person has done just a fabulous job. Also in helping Cercare identify, what is the market drivers, because, when you come into the market from the beginning, I mean, you kind of have a game plan, but you're kind of also on completely unknown ground.
Yeah.
So you have to really understand, how can you trigger the interest of our potential customers, what parts of the product should we bring forward in the beginning, what pricing is attractive, what kind of contracts can fly and can fly fast. And, you're very depending on that strong connection with your team and the market to constantly fine tune your commercial offering. So back to finding the right people. I mean, it's also about you kind of giving confidence that because you had the journey before, I mean, then the candidate can have high confidence, that being with the person that kind of have had the experience in the past and knows what to do in a startup can also be something that can attract people to come on board and join the journey. Because a company like Cercare can of course not afford to go after you can say top talent in the industry, because they're very expensive and they're probably with some of the big companies and maybe don't want to start all over again.
Yeah, and I think touching on that point, I think you said it really well, Henrik. It's important to bring people on board who want to be a part of a bigger picture and a journey. They need to be able to believe in the product and in the mission of the organization. Otherwise, it's not going to be the right fit for someone to move from perhaps a larger organization to a smaller company like Cercare. I think go on.
No, but I tried that myself. I did the heavy lifting in another company. Worked there for 6 years. Started absolutely from scratch. Left with a 60-man band. That was just doing fantastic. And now I'm here with Cercare. Starting all over again. It's not for everyone. It is extremely hard. Really to get the plane off the ground and in the air. But it's also now, I mean, it's for me, it's extremely motivating, and I really think it's great fun, to go to work and have, really the opportunity to really build and the company and apply all your experience, and all the feedback you get from the market, and all the great connection you have with clinicians that love the product, to build a business is just great fun. I mean, and I enjoy it every single day.
That's great to hear. No, I think you've said it really well. You need to love it, and you need to believe in the mission and the product, and then the success will come with that. Where can people find you and find Cercare if they were to search you online?
Yeah, I mean, they can find me on LinkedIn. I mean, I'm not a person with a very unique name. I mean, in my little city here, there's 4 Henrik Andersen, and we're 5,000 people here. But probably they can find me anyway on LinkedIn. I mean, I assume so if you use the right search criteria. But they can also find Cercare. It's www.cercare-medical.com.
Perfect.
And I'm always interested to speak to people and answer questions. And I also had people reaching out to me. I remember a story many years ago. There was a person that applied for a job. Unfortunately, she didn't have any sales experience.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to reject her. And then a couple of months, she called me back and said, that she was now in an interview for a pharmaceutical job as a salesperson. And I gave her some tips and tricks. And guess what? A couple of weeks later, she called back and said, I got the job.
Fantastic.
So,
Great.
yeah. And that doesn't cost anything, to share a bit of a lifetime experience.
No, 100%. 100%. Well, look, again, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure having you on the podcast. And I wish you and the team all the best. I'll be watching closely. And hopefully you'll dominate the US market as well as you've done the European market. So thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Tim, and have a nice day.
I hope you found this episode insightful. I share weekly content on industry trends and talent insights over on my LinkedIn page at Tim Eramkhan. Together we're building a community, and the best way to grow is if you can share this episode with someone in the industry and consider subscribing. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and see you next time.